Trade rumors are heating up concerning Semyon Varlamov. We have the latest. We'll also preview tonight's game at the UBS Arena against Columbus. And a player who played for both the Islanders and the Rangers is our Islanders' birthday today. We've got all that and a lot more coming up on today's episode of the Locked On Islanders podcast.
Your Locked On Islanders, your daily podcast on the New York Islanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody, and welcome to the Thursday edition of the Locked On Islanders podcast. Hope everybody's having a great day and want to thank everyone for being a member of the Locked On Islanders family and for making Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, and that includes YouTube. So please check us out there and subscribe. We've got a lot to discuss on today's show. Trade rumors heating up concerning Islanders goaltender Semyon Varlamov. We have the latest on that. We will tell you exactly how the Islanders can go about beating the Columbus Blue Jackets tonight at the UBS Arena. And we've got our Islanders' birthday today. All that and a lot more coming up on today's show. If you've got something Islanders related on your mind, if you have a question, a comment, a topic that you'd like us to talk about on the show, feel free to send us an email. The email address, lockedonislanders@gmail.com. And if you leave your first name and where you're from, we're happy to mention you on the show when we talk about whatever it is that's on your mind. You can also follow the show on Twitter at Locked On Isles, and you can follow me, Gil Martin, on Twitter at Ice Wars, NYRVSNYI. We'll keep you up to date on all the latest Islanders news, notes, and happenings, and I am live tweeting tonight and during nearly every Islanders home and road game. I'll give you instant insight and analysis, and always great to interact with fans during games and really at any time. So please feel free to hit me up on Twitter during the game, and always great to interact with fans. All right, let's sort of get down to brass tacks here. Rumors going around being reported about trading Islanders back goalie Semyon Varlamov. Trade deadline now a week and a half away. Varlamov under contract for the rest of this year, and the team in Varlamov, and this one makes total sense. Reported by Elliot. Look, the Oilers, one of the more explosive offensive team league, but goaltending and team defense, they have struggled throughout the season. But here's the deal. According to a tweet by James Hills, basically Varlamov has 16 teams. That's a little more than half the rest of the league, who said he will not do in a trade. And one of those 16 teams on his note is apparently the Edmonton Oilers. So Varlamov reportedly saying that he would not clause in order to go to. So I still think Varlamov, useful goalie, I think he's still enough somewhere in this 0.90 goals against average and save percent. You know, that's not, you have to add in what he's been through this year, training camp and the early part of the season because of injuries, started to come back. Then the the team was decimated by COVID, and then all of a sudden, and then Varlamov COVID when the team was up in Calgary, and so this has been a particularly easy for Varlamov and the Islanders as a team, and a lot of support when it when he's in goal. They don't tend to score, and Colorado the other night, and you look for, and oh yeah, well, they scored 4 goals, but it was 5-1 before they 3 goals. To me, you have Ilya Sorokin, you of cap space for next season defense. You can bring in a much less expensive backup goalie, whether or not you feel Jakub Skarek is ready next year, or you bring in a veteran backup, for $1.5, $2 million, and let Sorokin play 55, 60 games a year. That is also a possibility. But, if it is in Edmonton, they are looking for goaltending. And, the thing about the situation, the way it exists, Lou Lamoriello and the Islanders don't have a lot of pressure. Someone makes you an offer that's really, really good for Varley, you trade him. And you take the draft pick or the products or the player, depending on what's offered, you make the deal. If not, you could hold Varlamov till the draft and try to trade him then. You could try to trade him next year at the trade deadline. There are a lot of choices available out there. So, look, there's going to be a lot of rumors between now and the actual trade deadline. But, this kind of Edmonton, not where Varlamov wants to go. I hear that, but that doesn't mean there aren't other teams that he would waive the no trade clause for, or that aren't on his list of teams he would not play for. And as far as the Islanders are concerned, only, and I reiterate this, only right, and don't give up Varlamov for nothing. Don't give him up on the cheap. Come trade deadline time, plenty of bubble teams that need improved goaltending, and maybe they're willing to pay or even slightly to get a quality netminder like Semyon Varlamov. So we'll see how this one sort of breaks down and goes forward from here. But for the New York Islanders, these rumors are out there, and we have to see over the course of the next few weeks. We will have it for you every day. We're here every Monday through Friday, so make sure you stay with us, and we will have some very special coverage on the trade deadline day, and we'll fill you in on that when we get closer to the date. We've got a lot more to get to. What are the keys to beating the Columbus Blue Jackets tonight? We'll talk about that, our Islanders' birthday of the day, and a whole lot more coming up on this episode of the Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by your friends at BetOnline. It's that time of year again as college basketball's tournament is finally upon us. From all the latest odds, contests, and player props, BetOnline.net is the number one source for all your sports betting needs and info. BetOnline remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. And it's not just basketball. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino games. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, where the game starts. Thank you for making Locked On Islanders your first listen. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Now podcast, nightly recaps of every NHL game with analysis from our local experts every Monday through Friday. It's free and available wherever you get podcasts. Tonight, 7:30 at the UBS Arena, Islanders and the Columbus Blue Jackets. Look at the standings. Islanders behind the Blue Jackets for fifth place in the Metropolitan Division. Islanders have 4 games in hand. I don't have any real illusions left about this team making the playoffs, but it would be nice to pass Columbus and take over fifth place. You want to do that, this game pretty much you got to win it. You win this in regulation, and you're back within the number of points you can get on the games in hand. You win this in regulation, you're within 7 points. You lose this in regulation, you're behind 11 points. And that's really tough to make up, even in the 28 games that would be left on the schedule. Columbus, a team that has struggled with their goals against for most of the season, and the health of their goaltenders have been a part of it. But overall, they have struggled as a team defensively. They're 10th in the league at goals scored. They've got some quality goal scorers, but they're 28th in the league in goals against. And, they recently had so many goalies either ill or injured that they called up J.F. Berube, a name that may be familiar to Islander fans with a long memory, who played 4 games for them and actually won 3 out of the 4. But Elvis Merzlikins is their starting goaltender. But listen to these numbers. He's 19, 15, and 3 on the season, but a 3.47 goals against average and a .902 save percentage. Think about that. He's making 90% of his saves, but still giving up nearly 3.5 goals a game. That tells you that the Blue Jackets, as a team, are just giving up too many shots. This has now lost 3 in a row, all of them by 1 goal, and all of them at home. They lost to LA 4-3. Boston 5-4, and then Toronto 5-4. This is a 1-game road trip. They haven't played since Sunday, and we'll see what they're able to do now off their pretty big amount of rest. Jenner leads the team with 23 goals and 44 points. Patrick Laine, 22 goals. Oliver Bjorkstrand with 20. They're both right on Jenner's heels. As far as assists, Voracek, 40 assists, 3 goals this year, but 40 assists by far leading the team. And 16 of those 40 assists for Voracek have come on the power play. Boone Jenner, their most dangerous power play shooter, he has 8 power play goals, followed by Bjorkstrand with 5. On teams, the power play 20th in the league, the penalty kill 16th. You would sort of expect those two to be flip-flopped, but here, what the Islanders need to do, we'll talk about that in just a minute. But looking at the line combination, Boone Jenner, Gustav Nyquist, and Patrick Laine are the top line. Jack Roslovich centers Voracek and Bjorkstrand on the second line. Cole Sillinger, the son of a former Islander, as a matter of fact, centers Max Domi and Justin Danforth on the fourth line, and then third line, rather. And on the fourth line, Sean Curley is the center with Eric Robinson to his left and Igor Chinnikov, on his right. Now, Robinson is sort of battling some injuries and may be a game-time decision. On the blue line, Andrew Peak and Zach Werenski are the top pair. Vladislav Gavrikov and Dean Kukin are the second pairing, and Gabriel Carlson and Jack Bean are the third pair. In goal right now, you've got Elvis Merzlikins, Korpisalo. Those are the starting two. Rick Robinson on the IR, Alexander Texier on the IR, as is Adam Boomquist and Daniil carousel regarding Eric. So the keys for the Islanders, you got to take advantage of the Blue Jackets' weak defense. You find a way to, this is, and I'll add to it this way. Assuming Matthew Barzal does not come back and we don't have any new news about his imminent return, this is the kind of game that Barzy would excel at because the Blue Jackets will chase him. And he will create space and time, but the Islanders fight against Columbus, and that does indeed change. But I look for and to try to move the puck. To me, Noah Dobson should be a big part of this attack, and you may see opportunities like Shinaho. Maybe Zdeno Chara comes back. We mentioned if Scotty Mayfield even to be the trailer to take time and create opportunities that will pressure the mediocre defense, the Columbus Blue Jackets. And on the flip side, have to go back to what they did 2 games ago when they played so well, against scoring chances, let alone the 49, slowed them down in the neutral zone. You do that to Columbus, and then you can take advantage of their defense and their inconsistent goaltending, and that is the way you can really get yourself into a position to win the hockey game. Anders Lee has been hot. Obviously, Noah Dobson has been hot as of late. Brock Nelson, Mr. Consistency, been playing pretty well also. And I'll say this, Kyle Palmieri, who was hard, at least production-wise, in his first 20 games, he's also been playing better recent weeks ever since he came back from paternity leave. Now, in his last 11 games, 6 goals for him. See if the Islanders can get enough offense in a game like this in order to beat the Columbus Blue Jackets. You don't want to play a shootout kind of a game tonight. If this is an end-to-end, rush after rush kind of a game, it will not benefit the Islanders. That's the kind of hockey the Blue Jackets excel at. But if the Islanders can slow it down, and the Islanders can keep the Blue Jackets on the perimeter and then take advantage of Columbus's shaky defense, that is the formula for victory. We have got more to discuss on this episode of the show. Our Islanders birthday of the day coming up next. It's a player who played for both the Rangers and the Islanders, a native of Finland, who was an Islander in the very late 80s. Let's see if you can guess who it is. All that and more still to come on the Locked On Islanders podcast. Time now for our Islanders birthday of the day. And Friday will be the 58th birthday for former Islanders forward Raimo Helminen. Helminen, a Finnish native, originally drafted by the Rangers in the 2nd round back in 1984, made his NHL debut with the Rangers in 85-86, moved on to the Minnesota North Stars in 86-87, and then after a year back in Europe, joined the Islanders for the 88-80 season, split the year between the Islanders' AHL affiliate in Springfield and playing for the Islanders. 24 games as an Islander, 1 goal, 12 points. And then after that, he headed back to Sweden and Finland, where he continued to play hockey all the way through the 2007 2008 season, and then actually went on to coach both as an assistant and as a pro in Finland for his former team. So we're going to go back and look at one of Raimo Helminen's better games with the Islanders. This guy could skate, good player, and he could scale and create plays. We take you back to December 17th, 1988, the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum. Islanders taking on the New Jersey Devils. Sean Burke getting the start in goal for Jersey, while Billy Smith toward the end of it, but still going for the Islanders at that point. And it was the Devils getting on the board first. Mark Johnson, his eighth from Tommy Albaline, and George McPhee at 4:03. That made it 1-0 in favor of the Devils. Then Mick Vukota and Perry Anderson dropped the gloves just a few seconds after that goal. And the Islanders later in the period managed to tie it. Kirk Muller was off for interference. Islander power play, Mikko Makala. With his eighth of the year, Tomas Jansson, and our Islanders' birthday of the day, Raimo Helminen with the assists at 13:36. Isles and Devils deadlocked 1-1 after one period. In the second, the Islanders' power play goes at it again. This time with George McPhee off for high, sticking Brent Sutter, his ninth from David Volek and Helminen, our Islanders' birthday of the day, at 6:33. Islanders up 2-1. 1 minute and 1 second later, Volek, his 10th from Brent Sutter at 7:34. 3-1 Isles. And then Brian Trottier, his ninth from Richard Crom at 14:07. After two periods, it was 4-1 Islanders, and it all looked like things were going swimmingly. Well, in the third, the Islanders' power play striking one more time midway through the period. Ken Danico off for roughing. Reed Larson gets his third for the Islanders. Tomas Jansson and Raimo Helminen, our Islanders' birthday of the day, with the assists at 10:05. Pat Verbeek scores a later goal for the Devils. Tommy Albaline with the only assist. Final score in this fight-filled contest, Islanders 5 and the Devils 2 for Billy. A strong performance, 25 saves. Islanders out shooting New Jersey 31-27. Sean Burke giving up the first 4 goals before Chris Terreri gave up that 1 goal in the third period. But for our Islanders' birthday of the day, Raimo Helminen, 3 assists in this game. Did not register a shot on goal, but a pretty passer, and certainly his 3 assists, a big reason why the Islanders were able to win this game. So again, we are a day early, but Friday will be the 58th birthday of former Islanders forward Raimo Helminen. He is our Islanders' birthday of the day. Should be a good game tonight. This is the kind of team that the Islanders are battling again for 5th place. And, you want to keep moving forward. You want to keep making progress. And wins like this is kind of a big way that you can do it. And we will be back tomorrow with our key takeaways and a full preview of all of this weekend's games. Thanks again for making Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. Now make your second listen Locked On Fantasy Hockey. Hosts Steele Roden and Flip Livingstone help you become the expert of your fantasy league. It's free and available wherever you get podcasts. That does it for this episode of the Locked On Islanders podcast. Have a great day, everybody. Stay safe. Of course, let's go Islanders.